Hello, I'm Kevin Benedict, Senior Analyst for Digital Transformation at Cognizant. I want to thank you for joining us today. Do you know I've had the privilege over the last few weeks of reading quite a number of books on ancient Rome. Books like In the Name of Rome, Caesar Against the Celts, Ancient Rome, and Hannibal Crosses the Alps, as well as Rubicon and Saints and Sinners. And in each of these books, there's dedicated sections that address one particular thing, and that's the Roman road. And it occurred to me after reading about the Roman road that the Roman road is not too, and the benefits of the Roman road are not too dissimilar to the benefits that enterprises get from mobility and the functionality of mobility and the ROIs of mobility. I gotta ponder this a bit. Here I am in Rome. Hello, I'm Kevin Benedict, Senior Analyst for Digital Transformation at Cognizant. I want to thank you for joining us today. This week we're here in beautiful Rome, Italy, under winter rains. We have columns all around us. We have Roman roads, one of the technological and engineering feats of the Roman Empire, which allowed it to flourish for over 400 years, is not too dissimilar to the internet. And those roads allowed rapid communication with distant lands. Enterprise mobility does the same thing for companies today. At the peak of the Roman Empire, only 180,000 legionnaires and their supporting staff were able to control a territory with 55 million people in it. Few people, huge territories. How could they command such an area with so few soldiers? It's because they had communication as near real time as they could back then, and the Roman roads are what made that the Roman road. In order to control the vast Roman Empire, there needed to be the capability of sending messages, sending orders, and knowing what's going on around the empire. The Roman roads, developed to be permanent, allowed quick commands to be sent out to distant locations and forts, messages to come in, and for a central organization to be able to manage huge geographic areas. It allows you to have situational awareness. They had a messaging service that went from 29 military roads out to over 300 great roads, so information and news from any of those locations could quickly come back to management. Management could make decisions and it can go from there. And because of those messengers and those roads, messages could be made very quickly. It could be transported very quickly, decisions made very quickly, and orders sent back out to the remote fields of the empire. Likewise, when you have mobile technology, it allows managers from remote areas to be able to keep in contact with projects, with people, with 5,000 service techs, no matter where their location is, in real time, to be able to connect with them, to collect data from them, to share data with them, to provide decision-making tools in the field from anywhere at any time. Let's think about the comparisons between the Roman road and enterprise mobility and the near real-time communications that mobile technology affords. It improved productivity as well. Think about it. The ability to be able to build roads allowed you to expand your markets quicker, move your armies quicker, and be able to build things and develop complete new areas and civilizations much quicker. Also, it allowed you to have predictability to be able to get information of where your soldiers are. In Roman times, everyone knew exactly how far a Roman soldier could go. 20 miles in 5 summer hours was the designated pace. So they knew if they had a specific location their soldiers needed to get, they could estimate exactly how fast troops could move there. It was 24 miles in 5 summer hours with 60 pounds on their back when it was needed for forced marches. Also, because of that standardization, you could then predict where your soldiers would be at any one time. Enterprise mobility with GPS tracking and real-time communications allows you to know where your people are, know how fast it's going to take them to get somewhere else, so that you can have predictable management of your workforces as well. In addition, you could do swarming. The Romans could do swarming, which meant they didn't have to have soldiers everywhere. In fact, they were able to have only 180,000 legionnaires and their support staff to be able to control over 55 million people in the population, the areas that they controlled. Why? Because when a messenger came in from a remote location saying there was trouble, there was a revolt, they could swarm their soldiers from all directions to be there in a predictable fashion on a timeline, because they knew exactly how fast the troop could move as well. In addition to that, you could do force projection. You could control much farther and much greater distances, because you could push your soldiers out there in a dependable, predictable manner. Let's talk about that. When you have the Roman roads, solid roads that you could travel on all year long, no matter what the weather is, that allowed predictability 365 days a year for the Roman army. Mobile technology gives you very similar things as well. Access to markets was another thing. You had the ability to bring products and services and materials and supplies very quickly to the point of need. Mobile apps do the same thing. You can sell in places you never had a building or a warehouse, because now you have access to new markets. That was very much what the Roman roads allowed the Romans to do as well. In addition, tactics. You can't deploy tactics. The Romans couldn't deploy tactics with their military forces until they knew it had the fast communications, so they could tell their military and armies where to go, until they could learn if it was successful or not, the battle. All of that rapid communication allowed the military officers to then employ tactics. The same thing with a business manager. You can't employ tactics if you're not getting real-time information from the field. In addition, the Romans knew exactly how far their soldiers could get, not just because they could walk that far, but because they had regular intervals with warehouses of food, inns, water, places where they could eat and be refreshed and stay. Again, that allowed the predictability. Very similarly, if you know where your forces are, you can bring the materials, the parts, the inventory needed to keep the person working. Very similarly there. Also, there's a concept called optimal intersections, where you can have 2 forces or 3 forces or 5 forces all meet together at the right time. How do you do that? In the Roman days, that was the Roman roads. They knew how fast any soldiers or any products could get to a particular place because of the predictability of the roads. Mobile technology, when you have GPS tracking, again, lets you meet a truck with your workforce to bring inventory, to be able to move the right person to the right next job, because you know the status of the job, you know what products they need, parts they need, equipment they need, and you can bring it to bear, in similar to what the Romans did. Also, culture. That's the last one we're going to talk about today. A lot of companies have remote workers, and it's very hard to keep those people feeling a part of the culture, where they're feeling a part of the team. But in the Roman days, they had the same challenge. How do you spread the Roman culture out to distant remote areas? The reason is they have these Roman roads that allowed ideas to be transported, religions to be transported, products to be transported, books, music, the culture. The same way collaboration platforms and mobile technology can do that for you today. So that's my comparison. I want to thank you for joining us today under the winter reign of Rome.